Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andrea Thomas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. Welcome, my beautiful souls, to a new podcast episode. I cannot wait for today's podcast episode because we are going to talk about the power of AI. And I have been using it in my business for a couple of months now, and I can tell you that it has been transformative. And what we are going to do, I'm going to bring an expert today on AI, and we are going to talk about what are the myths, what are the resistance that spiritual entrepreneurs especially have when it comes about AI. How can you start using it in your business with integrity, and how can you actually start automating your business with AI? So these are all juicy things we are going to talk about with Marcel. Hi, Marcel. Welcome.
Hey, Andrea. Hello.
So excited to have you. So excited to chat
Thank you for the
about.
invitation.
Yes. I'm so happy you said yes and you are willing to share your wisdom, your knowledge with us about AI. And before we dive a little bit into the topic, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into becoming so knowledgeable, an expert into AI?
I've been programming for, I think, 17 years. When I was a very young kid, my dad taught me how to write code, how to make websites, how to make little games. And yeah, that inspired me to kind of continue. I just took it and went with it and started building cool things and making things that I like to make. And so all throughout school, I was kind of making little things here and there. And university, I studied computer science engineering. So following that path. Actually, funny, there was a decision between graphic design and computer science engineering. So have some graphics things there, and there's a lot of art in the family. I've seen the computers, I've worked with them from the depths, very technical, been coding a lot, but I also felt that just programming all the time is not really my thing. I like to talk to people. I like to think things through. I'm more of a strategic thinker than the implementer. So I've worked as an IT consultant and then as a software engineer where I was programming. And then my last move is becoming a freelance AI consultant and educator. It's this time that it's a good time to start talking about this, start teaching, because so much has changed and is changing so quickly. I know I've been following the technology for a long time, so can help here. Happy to do so.
Amazing. And before we dive into AI and how you guys can start using it in your life, in your business, because I can tell you, I have used AI even like traveling, ChatGPT. I'm like, ChatGPT, I'm going to that location for that many days. I want to visit those things. Make me an itinerary. And it literally made me an itinerary. It's just mind blown on what it can do for you and how it can simplify your life, not just your business. But before we dive into that, I love asking my guests, how do you define spirituality for yourself and how do you use it in your day-to-day life?
I feel that there's this innate human need for spirituality. It's like you can spend your days doing things and going through the motions, making things, talking to people. It can be nice, it can be not as nice, but if there's no spirituality, then there's nothing around and there's no reason to do it. I feel like there's some zest in life that's missing. So I feel like spirituality for me is just connecting with the essence, connecting with what really matters. It's like getting back to life. I know for me that I'm a good worker. I can get focused. I can get a lot of stuff done, but it's so easy to get lost into the work. And then I just like 2 hours later, and well, I've done a lot of things, but my mind is just in the words, in the code, in the maybe the frustration if it's not working.
Mm,
And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I just need to be outside. I need to think about, I need to just reconnect with what's higher.
Thank you. I'm happy to see that I made you think here right now. And I stretched you a little bit.
It's good.
So yeah, so thank you for your answer. And now I want us to touch about AI and how especially spiritual entrepreneurs and people that are so skeptical about AI because they're thinking, oh my God, they are taking all the human touch and it's so the artificial because it is artificial. And then we are losing that connection. We are losing that touch, our customers with our audience. What would you say about that and how these spiritual entrepreneurs and people can actually start using it in their life with integrity? Because I am a big believer and I've seen it with my business that it can actually be an add-on and it can help you. It's like pretty much like you are hiring at least one person, at least one person.
I think many people who started using AI went through this process of you see it for the first time and you try out, you do something like ask for the itinerary and it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. And so you get really excited about this. And then maybe you're like, okay, at some point I'm going to start using this for my business, write something, or maybe just completely fully generate it. And then what comes out is kind of like, whoa, this sounds like AI. And that really, I mean, that sucks. And then there's this big thing of, well, is it actually useful? Like you should probably just crash into this. How do I do it now? And well, of course, there's a middle ground. Uh, that's the lessons you learn that it's not perfect, just like any other system, just like any tool, just like any person. And your comparison with having an extra person on your team, I think that's a really good one. It's just, you need to understand what type of person it is. They have, it has certain strengths, it has weaknesses. It feels like it's slightly intelligent, but not too intelligent person, but they have a ton of time. So one of the things I really like doing is using my voice, talking to it, and I can just ramble for 5 minutes and then ask it to organize and structure my thoughts, which is super helpful because otherwise you need to type it down and get the bullet points and the titles. But that having someone else go through that and do that process, that's amazing. That's great. So I think the way to use AI and still keep your authenticity is a little bit more in the background. We have this thing of, well, it's the most advanced technology, so we should use it for the most advanced or difficult things that we need to do in our lives. But then you so quickly hit the limits and you see where it's not working. And it's like, well, okay, maybe you give up altogether. No, I think you just change what you ask it. I just do a brain dump of everything I'm thinking about or everything I've been reading. And it's like, hey, give me some video ideas or article ideas or something. And then it comes out. And then I have this process where I still decide. So that's my authenticity as I pick the ideas that are good. And then I adjust them, I turn them into my thing. And I might go back to ChatGPT in this case, like, can you kind of structure this a little bit for me? Is there something I'm forgetting? And then I might still edit a little bit on my side. So that's really like this back and forth. But the big thing there is that you're not getting stuck. There's a block. I don't think it really exists anymore. This is like one click away and then you get new ideas, you get new inspiration, get something that is helping you go along. So I think that is a key, kind of not using it for too big of a task and then also mixing it with your own stuff. Just use it to go faster, not to replace yourself. AI has taken over your job. I don't think it takes over jobs. It takes over tasks. Just
Mm-hmm.
certain things of what you're doing. I love this comparison with a school bus driver. Imagine that we have self-driving school buses. Would the school bus driver disappear then? Well, no, because he doesn't just drive the bus. He also takes care of the kids. He also makes sure that they're not fighting. And maybe he even teaches them a lesson once in a while. And so I would say that job that the school bus driver is doing now is more important. And he can now focus more on that more important thing. I think it opens up this opportunity for us to be more human when we can let the computers do more of the computer type of work and we can focus on more the creative work, the social work, the things that are actually more
Yes, and I love that. Just imagine, you guys, that it's like almost like you hired, let's say, a copywriter, a marketer, a social media expert. That's how I have been using it in my business, where, as you said, I put in my stuff, I put in my words, I put in my ideas, and I just ask ChatGPT to organize it, to give me ideas, to just help me. Let's say your draft for a post or your draft for an email or whatever, and you give it to your team member and you are like, okay, put this into an email right now. That's how it is with ChatGPT. And then, of course, you're going to make adjustments to sound even more like you. But it's not a replacement. It's really like an add on. And you said something about questions there. And it does have to do so much with the questions you're asking, like the prompt that you are giving to ChatGPT. And it's pretty much like how we have heard in life too, that the quality of your life,
Mm.
it's directed by the quality of
Yeah.
your questions.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like that's how it is with the ChatGPT. The quality of the answers you are going to receive, it's based on the quality of the questions you're asking. And we know we have ChatGPT, which is one of them, and that's like a big major one I use as well in my business. But there are so many other different platforms that entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs can actually start using in their business to automate tasks so they save time on those redundant tasks and they focus more on that human connection, like serving their client, doing some videos, doing other things where you are best at. So can you share with us what are some of the other tools, softwares out there that spiritual entrepreneurs can start using in their business to automate?
Okay. So first of all, maybe to help deal with the overwhelm, it's insane how much this world is changing, how much new things are happening. Before this, I was actually listing down what happened the past week. And I had like, there's a ChatGPT that's announced that now can watch images. That was like less than 24 hours ago. Microsoft is adding something to Windows where you can just ask Windows to do things like make a new task, send an email, read my document. Google added the same thing to their ChatGPT variant where it can read your emails and it can read your Google Docs. YouTube will add generative thumbnails, etc. to it. There's Dolly 3, which is something like Midjourney for image generation. That's going to be amazing. It can generate text. But many of the tools that come out are kind of their ChatGPT in the background. And then they add something, they sprinkle something over it. Something like, well, now we have our project management tool that can generate a step-by-step plan to execute your process. In the background, it's just going to ChatGPT and asking that question. So I think that makes it a lot easier to understand these things and also a bit easier to evaluate whether I want to use them or not. I can also ask ChatGPT for a breakdown of a project, and I'm fine with that. Now, it can still be useful. And in many cases, it is useful to have a nicer way of using it and not having to copy paste things over. So you said automating. I think automation is a really big thing here. And that has been before the big AI boom even, but now it's become much more powerful. And so automation, the two key most important tools are Zapier and Make. And basically I see them as duct tape.
Mm.
We all have like 5 or 10 different pieces of software that we use that our customers are scattered. The products are here and there, the email, the content, the social media. It's a whole mess. And with tools like these, you can kind of duct tape them together. I say duct tape because, of course, it's not an ideal solution. The ideal solution would be that they already work together. So if you can find a single product that does everything you need to do, that's obviously better. These things can save you so much time because it's the worst part of the job is when when you make a new customer and then you need to type them in the invoicing tool or whatever. It's like, I just don't want to do that. And when you can have something that does that for you, that just makes such a huge difference. Now, having have AI, we can do much more with it. For example, we were talking before this repurposing, where I use this all the time now. I have a video that I play. I need to write a description for Instagram and some hashtags. I don't want to do it, but I can ask ChatGPT. And so I built an automation where the place where I organize my little videos, it will auto fill in those descriptions and those hashtags, and then I can just copy it over or even automatically let it be posted. So that's something that just saves time, but most of it, even more, just kind of saves hassle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then repeat again those two that you mentioned. So it's make, you said?
So there's, yes, make.com and then Zapier, Zapier.
Zapier.
Yeah.
Yes. Zapier. That's the one that connects. I know I use that one.
Yeah. Make is basically the same thing. I've been using both of them recently. I thought I liked Make more. I'm starting to like Zapier more. I've been hitting
Yeah.
limits of Make once in a while. I'm like, oh, wait, I want to do this. I cannot do it here, but I can do it in the other place.
Okay. So I know what I'm also doing, for example, with my podcast episodes is like I record 1 hour and from here, my virtual assistant takes the episode and creates with one of the AI platforms a lot of different short that we use for Instagram, for YouTube, for TikTok, and just repurposing it overall. And from there, creating blogs, emails, and so on from just 1 hour or so of podcast. So it's still my content, as you guys can see, but from here, it's repurposed throughout the whole social media. And I have content for weeks. I can have content for weeks for 1 hour that AI helps to do within minutes, I would say it. So that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. And what are the most common major blocks that spiritual entrepreneurs have when it comes to using AI?
One big thing is the fear of I'm not technical and this is all computer stuff. And I just don't want to get started because I cannot, I don't know, computers explode when I touch them. Something that is a big thing for sure. It helps to have kind of someone holding your hands those first steps, but that's mainly to get over the fear, I think, because these things, you need to get used to them. It's a different tool, but they're not that difficult to use most of the time. If you let yourself get overwhelmed by just, oh, I need to know the latest thing and the best thing every single week, then of course you will definitely get overwhelmed. But I would just stick to what a bunch of other people are already using that does what you want to do. Take that. There's no need to be on top of it. Like I need to be on top of my game, but for most people, it'll come when it comes. It's getting better, right? It's also getting easier. This is a big thing that people are working on because if you just have ChatGPT, imagine you had the magic, there's this genie that comes out of the bottle and it says you can do one wish for your life. It sounds great, but if you would be there, you're like, "Nah, I don't know what to ask." And in the same way, you got to be precise because maybe you ask, I want to live forever. But then later that day, you get hit by a bus and you can't move your legs, can't move your arms. You're in the hospital, doctors explaining all this stuff. You're like, I'm glad I'm still alive. Hold on. And so it helps to have a layer over it. And that will get better and better and better. It's like Apple. They don't use the word AI in their talk. They don't. Even though iPhones are full of AI. But it's simple things like before you start searching for an app, it shows you maybe you want to open this one. Shows you the next word you want to type. It picks out the best photos that are going to make you the happiest when you're reliving your past memories. That's all AI, but they just do it in a way that you don't see that it's happening. And so this is one of the big jobs that all the startup founders have at this point is making it something that's super easy to use, that's amazing to use. And so if you try this out and you feel like it's still too complicated, then you can just wait a couple months and it's going to get a whole lot better. We're just at the beginning of all this stuff. Everyone's still figuring out how to do it, what they can do with it. Nobody knows, but it'll get much easier. It'll get much better.
Okay. So the first block is that I'm not technical, and a lot of people still believe you have to be very technical. And what I can tell you also, guys, from my experience, because I'm also the person that says I am not technical. Like when I started on my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, oh my God, I hate even just doing a landing page. What can I say about like getting deep into AI? I was like, no, no, no. And I had so much resistance on starting to use it because I haven't done much research about it. And I just heard, I would say, mainly negative things from other entrepreneurs. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Until actually one of my mentors, she did a masterclass, a paid masterclass on how to use ChatGPT with integrity. And I'm like, the word integrity, it's like piqued an interest for me. I'm like, and then she said like, it does the research for you. You can get more clear on your niche, on your marketing, on your messaging, on all these things. Actually, spiritual entrepreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs that don't have a product struggle so much with the messaging, and ChatGPT can actually help you with that, can help you streamline your message so you can communicate it easier. So I use it a lot, and I'm not technical. And I can tell you that, guys, for sure. You don't need to be technical. You just need to have patience as we talk, patience with yourself to get a little bit of a hang of it, on how it works, on the questions to ask, on how to make yourself understood. And when you don't receive the answer that you like or want, that means you just have to ask another question, a different question. You have to position your question, your prompt in a different way. So what is the second block? So the first one is that I'm not technical. The second one?
The second one, let's talk about automation specifically, because we brought that up already. I see that people just don't know what to automate. And that's actually, I think it's quite similar to what you were saying just now about ChatGPT, is you need to get the hang of it. I always say people with ChatGPT, like, you take a couple of weeks to get obsessed with just everything you can think of, make it so ridiculous. Let's just ask ChatGPT. I was talking about converting time zones. Let's ask ChatGPT. What's this human design thing? How do I interpret it? Let's copy paste it into ChatGPT and ask it. And then over time, you can start getting a feeling for that. I think for automations, it's the same thing. Because when I speak in the abstract of, it's duct tape between software, it's like, what do you mean? And it becomes more practical when you can show specific examples. So, like, I have my email list and I have my products. And so when someone buys one of my products, then I want to send emails to them. So I need to copy their email over to the email list. That's something you can automate. That's something super common. When you're an ads on Facebook, you want to also write emails to them. That copy paste, that's also an automation. I'd love playing around with this stuff. The other day I was doing one where I was thinking, what if I have my list of customers, and whenever I add one so that they sign up for my course, it creates an email to welcome them. And the email is based on the transcript of the call I had before. So ChatGPT knows exactly what we were talking about, what they were looking forward to, what they wanted from this. And based on that, it can create an email. And it was like, let's take this one step further. Let's convert the email into a voice message and then generate the voice with an AI that is trained on my voice. And so it sounds like me. I'm sending a voice message over WhatsApp like 3 seconds after they click that button to buy the product. Those are the crazy things you can do these days. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you are super new at AI, you do not have to go so far. Okay. Just remember that Marcel, he is an expert. That's his job. Okay. That's what he does. So he can take it very, very far. He can play very deep into this world. But I recommend, if you're new to it, to outsource that if you want to go as deep, unless you want to become an expert yourself in AI.
Yeah. One of the most common things I do for people is they explain me their business processes. We just kind of walk through, what happens if a new customer comes in? What happens if a new project starts? Well, I do this and then I go there and then I do this and then that. And then when I look at it from my eyes, I can know okay, this is something you can automate. And I can sort of get an idea of what will be the most useful for you and what would take the most or the least amount of time. Those are things that you kind of get with experience.
Exactly. Okay. So automation and the fact that in general, entrepreneurs don't really know what to automate. Are there any other common blocks that you have noticed also within your clients when you work with them and when it comes to start implementing more AI tools within their business?
I think I would say the third big thing is this authenticity that we were talking about before, where people are like, yeah, okay, I get it. I want to use it, but it feels like it's not going to be helpful for me because I don't speak in this weird copywriting tone that ChatGPT does all the time. And this is really a challenge. I've tried a bunch of different things, and half of the time it's still not good. I see emails from established people in the space, and they're like, well, that's email is ChatGPT. Click the landing page. That's clearly written by ChatGPT. And so it is a big challenge, and it takes some tweaking. It takes some getting used to. And I think most of the time it still takes the back and forth of you together with the system. The only things you can completely replace are things that, if it's internal to your company, I don't know, like writing a financial report or something, like who cares?
Yeah.
This ChatGPT, right? Or if it's just a quick email, then it's good enough. You know, those things, no problem. But if it really matters for me, copywriting, I want to have my voice in there. You know, and so
Yeah.
there, I still write a lot myself.
Okay. So what I hear you saying when it comes about the authenticity of your post, copywriting in general, it can be anything, emails, blogs, and so on, to really bring in the collaboration with the ChatGPT. So you don't ask it, okay, do this and that's it. And then you just copy paste and do nothing else. But it's having a lot of back and forth. And also you can actually train ChatGPT to learn your tone of voice. So by giving it a lot of your own, like as you said, you do a voiceover, you transcribe it, and then you give it to ChatGPT, and you're like, "This is my tone of voice. Write something exactly in my tone of voice." You take posts that you have previously have done, and then again you put it into ChatGPT. You train it to be more of what you desire, but it is a lot of back and forth. So we have these three major blocks that I'm not technical, like automation, that a lot of entrepreneurs don't really know what to automate. And then authenticity. How do you keep your authenticity when, if you just let ChatGPT do its job as it does, it is gonna be pretty robotic, I would say. The feeling, the soul out of it, it's missing, and people feel that. And I have noticed that with my own content as well. So these are the major blocks. And now let's talk a little bit about the major benefits. So we talked that yes, it's gonna automate, it's gonna save you time. It's gonna also save you money pretty much, because it's like you're hiring someone that you don't have to pay pretty much. So what are some other major benefits for spiritual entrepreneurs, for them to actually wanting and see the desire and the benefits of wanting to just start using it in their business, in their life?
So I think many of the things you could distill them down to saving time and then by that saving money. But for example, something that I love doing with AI together is using it to improve my creativity. And you can see that as saving time because I'm not taking 7 weeks or 7 days to come up with ideas. I'm doing it in a couple seconds. On the other hand, it's going to come up with ideas that you don't come up yourself. And you can either do this directly through ChatGPT, or something else you can do is go to Midjourney or any of the other stable diffusion tools for the image generation. You put an idea in there and you see what images come out. That can be an interesting thing too, right? It's like, what does it make of my thought? And that is the big thing. I love how ChatGPT, these tools, how they kind of run with every idea you give it. You know, what would the world look like if all chairs were upside down? I don't know. How do that? ChatGPT will come up with something, some reason, or you're combining 3, 4, 5 different things, and then it'll see where the things overlap and where they don't overlap. And maybe it's all wrong, but if it's all wrong, that's also an inspiration. That actually reminds me of my dad. He makes video games, like artistic video games. And so he's often very frustrated by the tools of, I need to code and I need to type exactly what I want. But that is sort of blocking my artistic, because if something is wrong, then it just gives me an error. I want to be wrong, and I still wanted to do something that is wrong, that looks wrong. And that's something that ChatGPT and all these tools, they do it. When you ask a wrong question, wrong quote unquote, it'll type out something, and chances are you learn something from it. Maybe you're like, oh, this copyright is absolute like nothing. But the title you have there, that's pretty cool. You know? So I love that using it for that. I throw in a bunch of things all the time and let's see how it runs with it. I love it for my creativity.
Yes. And what I want to add here with the benefits is that also eliminates procrastination. At least that's what it did for me. Because especially if English is not your first language, you are going to think, oh my God, like grammar mistakes and how does it sound? How does it, like all these other things that, especially people that have English as their first language don't really think about. But if English is your second, third, fourth, whatever, like me, language, then when you write, you gotta make mistakes. Like it's inevitable. You gotta make mistakes. But ChatGPT can actually correct those mistakes for you and can help you move forward so much faster instead of constantly procrastinating and thinking, oh, but I don't know if this is a good idea. It's like you bounce ideas all the time. It's like you have your coach. I don't know if you joined that presentation where he was saying that it's like your agent at My Valley University, that ChatGPT is like your agent. It can be your business advisor.
Yeah. Yeah. I love using it for that, like giving it some personality. And I have a couple different chats with different people with different AI personalities that have like, oh, you're looking at my business from a marketing side, or you're helping me with this specific product. And because you have this long conversation, it kind of gets to know you a little bit better. Even though ChatGPT forgets things after a long time, still, I feel like it's pretty good. I even got to one point where I was like, what if I make this board of advisors? Like, okay, I'm running this kind of business. Which roles, which kinds of people could help me here? And they're like, well, you need like a strategy guy, you need like a marketing guy, you need like a product developer, and they give everyone names. And I'm like, okay, I've got this question for all of you guys. Let's mastermind. And it jumps out this conversation. Super cool. Actually, what you were saying now with English gave me a really good idea. Like I never thought about that before. That you can you can put something you're about to communicate in it, and we can probably ask it, what would be the sub communication of this message? Like, what would people think about that? That's not exactly the words, but that's implied from the way I'm writing this sentence. Because I notice that when I'm talking to people who's hard as proficient as I am in English, I'm like, that is kind of rude if you say it that way. But if you're not on that English level, then you're just not aware of it. You get used to the person, like, okay, well, they just don't know. Of course, they're not rude. But that can probably be a thing that ChatGPT can help with. I've never tried it, but it's good at language.
Yeah. So you
And
can
also,
actually
you
have
can talk,
fun.
yeah, yeah. And you can also not use English if you prefer to do it in your language and just type in your language and it works.
And have you used it in different languages? Would you say is as accurate as it is in English?
I always use it in English. I've used it like once or twice, but that was more in translation types of context. It's really good at translation. So I'm pretty sure that it will be less good at, at other languages than English. But I also think it would be pretty good. Just when I think about the way that the algorithm is structured, the way that the system it works internally, it would probably be pretty good actually. Better
Yeah,
better than say Siri in a different language where it just doesn't understand you. It's not English. Yeah.
yeah, I know I have a friend who is from Poland and he used it in Polish and he was telling me that it's not as good as it is in English, which I think it makes sense because the majority of information, research and so on that it takes in general, it is in English, but still, again, if you're gonna make the adjustments, if you do it in a different language, then you shouldn't have any issues. So for the benefits, so we have so far that it's 100% going to help you save time and money. It's gonna improve your creativity and it's going to help you eliminate procrastination. When you are not sure about your copywriting, about your sales page, about whatever content you want to create, and not just that, but it can actually help you come up with planning your content for the next month or months if that's what you desire. So it really helps you eliminate procrastination when it comes about anything, I would say, related to your business. Any other benefits you would like to add, Marcel?
So yeah, procrastination is a good one because you get stuck so easily on things that I need to think about this. And then you're like, well, let's just scroll Instagram. It's not thinking,
Hmm.
and just putting it in there just kind of blocks you. What else am I thinking about? I mean, I'm interested in hearing what you're saying are the benefits because I'm this technical abstract thinker. So I'm just like, well, it's all just saving time, the
Hmm.
mathematical mind is like not seeing like the specific things. So I'm very happy that you bring up this procrastination thing.
Yeah.
Um,
So for me, I would also add on research when I
Mm.
have to do research on a topic, on prepare for a meeting, something, I ask ChatGPT to help me. When I have done, let's say, some market research interviews for my business, I have taken that transcribe and I added into ChatGPT and I asked, okay, interpret what are the biggest problem challenges, whatever you want to find out with your market
yeah.
research. So I would say it really helps you in general with research as well. So you don't, instead of being on Google and read, I don't know how many different pages and articles and so on, ChatGPT can conduct that within one conversation.
And market research is a fun one. You can actually literally ask ChatGPT to pretend to be different types of persons and answer your survey. So if you're like, well, I don't know about this product, and you're like, well, just pretend you're 5, 6 different people in my target audience, and please answer these 5 questions for me. When you think about
Mhm.
this project, what are the strong points, the weak points? If you had a magic wand, what would you wish? What have you tried before? And it'll come up with something. Of course, it's AI, so like you don't there's 5 different answers. You don't know, is this 10% of the population or not? That, of course, is completely out of the window, but still, it gives you a lot of good ideas. It shows you like, oh, yeah, that's true. Maybe this one of the products could be improved. Oh, maybe this messaging is unclear. Those are the things that it'll surface, and it's like half of what you want in your product research anyway. So I like doing it for that too.
Hmm. Yeah, so it definitely can help you get more clear on your messaging. And I know I'm so guilty of it that I have struggled with my messaging and changed it like over and over and over again. And it also comes with our evolution, I would say, as entrepreneurs, which is normal. But it also can be so confusing a lot of times to really know how to with what you do, especially when you do service, when you offer service-based services, to know how to put it into words
Yeah.
so people will actually understand and would want to join and buy your services.
Yeah. Sometimes, so there's this authenticity thing. And sometimes I'm doubting, like, what I feel like giving up on my authenticity a little. Should I just use what it's putting out? Because especially in the case of clarifying and
Mm,
making things like digestible, I think it's really, really good at that.
yeah.
Because of course it's been trained on everything everywhere. And when we're writing, we have our background, we have our knowledge, we know what we know already, but the person who's reading it might not. So I think sometimes it is useful to like override that instinct of, oh, it doesn't look like I wrote it. But sometimes that can be useful. It's just like this. So, it's just once in a while, I kind of like, okay, you know what? Let's just put in whatever it's saying and let's see if it sticks. And then maybe I can
Hmm.
learn something from it.
Yeah. And I would say with that also, for those that are listening, to check in with your intuition and with your energy, because when you post something and if it comes from this place of, oh my gosh, but ChatGPT wrote it and it's not good and it's not right, and it's already like when you're gonna do it from that space, from that energy, probably the results you're gonna get are bad. But if you're like, oh, I have added quite a few words and I feel like it is in my tone of voice and blah blah blah, I actually feel good about it, and like backing it up by your energy, by your belief in it, I would say it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, right.
I feel like we covered so much. Is there anything else you would like to add on, Marcel, that would help people and spiritual entrepreneurs to just get started? Like, that's my thought for you. Just get started, allow yourself to be
Yeah.
messy. If you are afraid and you're like, oh, but I tried and I really don't like it, it's probably because you didn't give yourself enough time, or you also need a little bit of education, I would say. So, as I have done, for example, that I have bought a master class, and then I have joined a few different things. A little bit of education is definitely going to go a long way. But what else would you add for them in order to get started and use it with integrity?
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit the most important points on the nail on the head. Use it. Don't give up. Go a little bit deeper than your initial idea, initial inclination, what you see. Don't give up when you see a bad thing. A bit of education, perfect. Because you can grow like this, or you can kind of jump ahead and then like go all the way faster. So that, don't get overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's out there. It's okay if you don't have the newest, fanciest thing. That is for the people who are focused on AI. They are authentic in that they are doing things about AI, but they're not authentic in the way that we want our voice and our perspective to get out there. So just get used to the basics. Just minimally, viably competent is enough. We try to be perfect all the time, and it just sometimes blocks you. It can be very useful. It's really good to make really good things, and I think that's important. But on the other hand, life life is so messy. The computers
Yeah.
are so messy too, even though they look like they're perfect with their perfect goal processors of calculation, never make a mistake, especially the AI things. The more it looks like human, the more it's imperfect. And that's maybe a good thing. That's maybe something we can run with.
Mhm. Yeah. And the way I like to look at it, it's also that it's a tool that it's actually going to help me reach and serve more people. And if you have that in the back of your mind, that it's there as a helper, as a team, as an advisor, as a, whatever, however you are going to implement it and use it within your life and business, and think that it's actually going to save me the time and money to serve more people, and you put that in the back of your mind, and you allow yourself the time and space and patience to learn how to use it a little bit, I think you're going to go long way. And the last question I want to ask, because I know even Vision at the AI summit, they were saying that, oh, if you are not going to use AI, and the businesses that are not going to use AI, they are going to get out of business, and they're going to be left so behind that they're not going to be able to keep up with the businesses that do use AI. So what is your thought on that?
That's an interesting thing. I think on the one hand, he's right. I'm also thinking on the other hand, you won't be able to work without AI, as in it will become so integrated with everything that you're doing that it becomes so obvious.
Mm.
And it's the story of Mark Andreessen. He's one of the famous startup investors. He was telling the story of, he was explaining ChatGPT to his son. Like, this is amazing. You can like ask it, explain me quantum physics to a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old, and something else comes out and it's like, it's exactly right. And it's sort of like, yeah, but that's what computers do, right? They answer your question. And so the kids have this advantage. If you don't adopt AI, you won't survive. Sure. But on the other hand, it'll become so easy. It'll get so close to you without you even having to do anything, that I wouldn't worry about that too much. Be this period where the gap grows, where it is still kind of technical. You still need the learning curve. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of staying behind, that could be a problem. But at some point, there's going to be a difference. But at some point, it's sort of going to close up and catch up with it. Yeah, don't worry too much about it, I think.
Okay, so don't overthink it, but I would say definitely start integrating it in your life, in your business, because as I said, like it helps in every area, not just your business. Like I used it for my travels, I use it for my Airbnb, I use it for everything, whatever it is that I have to do. I'm like, oh, ChatGPT.
That's true. That's true. It's wonderful. And
And
it's
I
just,
hope you guys
yeah.
got our excitement with this. And Marcel, if people want to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to find you? And what are the best way to communicate with you?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. That's kind of the social media where I'm most active, next to YouTube. So I usually have longer form content on YouTube, like 10 minutes videos, lots of stuff about AI. And then I repurpose that into short form content on Instagram. So those are kind of my two big platforms. Of course, there's like my actual websites, which goes a bit deeper into what else, everything that I do and the products and the services. But those are kind of the three main things.
Okay, awesome. So if you guys want to go deeper into learning about AI, go and look up Marcel so you can learn more. And he has a very fun and great way of explaining
Right.
things. You just allow yourself to enjoy the process of learning this technology, because I want to say new, but it's far from new. It's just more integrated right now in our lives and businesses. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us, for coming, for sharing your time and space with us. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you, Marcel, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us.
Wow.
And I'm super excited, honestly, to learn more and integrate it even more in my life and business and to see where it goes. I think I surpassed the fear, and I know you can too, those that are listening, because if you are still I was there. So don't worry, because you can surpass it too. So thank you for coming. I love you. I appreciate you. And I believe in you so much and in your potential. Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.